So you're trying to choose the best funnel for your coaching program and you're deciding between the two heavy hitters, VSL funnels and webinar funnels. That's what we're getting into in today's video. We're going over how each funnel works, the financial modeling of each funnel if you're running ads, and then the head-to-head comparison from a qualitative, not just a quantitative standpoint, because that's important as well. My name's Lewis. I run Funnel House. I've helped my clients make over £1.5 million in sales, and I've consulted on over 100 different funnels as well. So let's get into the video. How do they actually work? Well, a VSL, you've got a traffic source. In this case, we're going to use an ad as an example. They go to a VSL page. So it's going to look something like this. Page, headline, VSL, just like that. There'll also be an application form. Ideally, you've got the application form beneath the VSL on the same page, so we're not getting any sort of drop-off from someone going from one page to the next. After that, if they're qualified, they're going to go through to the calendar. Ideally, again, you would also have the calendar embedded on the form itself. So then you've got the option for someone to book in straight away and you've got no drop off from someone going from one page to the next. So ideally, this is all in one page. The page is loading fast and you've got a good video sales letter using a software like Wistia, so you can see the analytics on the video itself as well. Then they would go to a pre-call page. So once they've booked in, they finally end up on a different page and it's going to be essentially framing them for the call. And then you can have some breakout videos here as well, going over questions and answers, everything like that. And then maybe also a full program walkthrough. That will also help you out. And that's something that we install for our clients as well. From there, a setter will most likely triage the lead because you don't want your closer wasting time and wasting spots in their calendar. So the setter will just give them a call and then just get an understanding, is this actually someone that our closer wants to speak to? Then moving on, we'll have the automations, there'll be some emails, some SMSs, and then maybe some manual reach out as well by the closer themselves. Then it'll go to the closing call, and then payment will be made, and then you've got a new client. It's a very nice, simple, easy funnel to run. The webinar, however, looks a little bit more different and a bit more complicated too. So they'll go to a registration page. So this might not have a video sales letter on it. It might just be headline, date and time, maybe a countdown timer here as well, and then a registration, and that should open a pop-up, and then someone can fill out their name, email, phone to register for the webinar. I hope you love my drawings, by the way. Then we'll go to a pre-webby page, and that's going to be something that's a whole lot more similar to this one. Registration video, like here's what you need to do, make sure you've accepted it, make sure you've actually added it to your calendar, everything like that. Here's a walkthrough, what we're going to be covering, and then maybe build up some hype. It could be also a button to join the community as well. That could be a WhatsApp group chat. Then there's going to be some automation that goes on as part of that, like, okay, you've registered, and then handling the objections, handling the common misconceptions that people might have about the business model or what you're teaching on the webinar. Then they'll join the group chat. So then that's an opportunity for you to engage these people more. And you would essentially, as the coach in this case, you would be sharing some insights, and then people can, this could either just be like a broadcast channel where you're just sharing it and then people aren't engaging, or if it's a smaller group, then you might want these people talking back and talking between each other as well. This is supposed to be a chat screen. Then from there, you'll have some more automations, and then the event itself. So then hopefully you've got a good attendance rate to the people coming to your event, and we're going to go over the benchmarks in just a second. You'll run the event, it'll be live, and this is just for a live webinar, by the way. This is what I do recommend to get started. I wouldn't recommend just starting out with a pre-recorded webinar. And then you're going to make an offer, and then automation, and then closing call. So in this offer, I'm suggesting that you're running something high ticket, not mid ticket. So you're actually offering people to get on a call, a closing call, rather than offering a direct checkout. Now, direct checkout is something that you can also do. Probably if you've got something a little bit cheaper, it's something I've done as well, and you can get some good results with it. Obviously, alleviates any sort of strain, I suppose, from a sales team. And you might not even need a sales team to run this. You could just be running it yourself. But again, you're going to get better conversion rates if you are selling something more expensive by sending them to a closing call, and then finally payment as well. So let's model these on a financial basis to work out which one could be best for us. So if we're running this to a cold paid audience, then this is what we would be looking at. Now, Your mileage may vary, definitely. And I'm just going to bring this to the middle so it's clearer for you to see, just in the one place. So we're assuming a £10,000 ad spend in this case with an AOV of £3,000 and a CPM of £50. So these are just quite arbitrary metrics, but this is something that you could expect. Now, we're looking at a click-through rate in both cases of 2%, a call booking rate in this case of 3%, and then a show-up rate of 60% and a close rate of 20%. So if you're watching this video and you're someone who's mainly just been doing organic in the past, maybe a YouTube audience, and you're like, oh, well, my show-up rate is super high, it's like 85% then. Okay, yeah, that's an organic audience. I'm using this for a cold paid audience, okay? So what you want to be aiming for here is these metrics. Click-through rate of 2, or maybe 1 to 3 kind of thing. Call booking rate of 3%. So of all people that actually click on the page, of all the people that actually end up, so not applications, of the people that end up like scheduling a call, that you want that at 3%. Show up rate 60%, close rate 20%. This would lead to 200,000 impressions, 4,000 clicks, 120 calls booked, 72 calls showed, 14 closed, cash collected of 42,000 and ROAS of 4.2. A webinar, however, has a lot more steps, and you need to be prepared for that because you'll see different bottlenecks, and naturally with more bottleneck opportunities, there's more you've got to kind of keep your finger on the pulse with when it comes to actually improving and optimizing your webinar funnel. So same front-end metrics, same CTR, but then we're aiming for a 20% registration rate here. So when people go to that page, we're aiming for 20%. Attendance rate of 1 in 4. 1 in 4 people, and you can push that up. Like if you are using the group chat that we've got here as well, that's going to be something that's going to push it up. You're going to make sure that you've got these good emails in place. Maybe even, like, depending on the volume, you could have some manual reach out by a setter or closer to actually get in touch. Like just wanted to let you know, like, we've got this coming up. These are all going to be things, like, depending on your volume, you could actually reach out to these people manually, and these are going to be unscalable things later on that can help you right now. So attendance rate, you can see like up to 50%. Like if you're running a warm webinar, for example, like 50% is something you could actually strive for, but it's rare, right? So 25% on a cold paid webinar, could be 20% as well. That could still be acceptable as long as the other metrics line up for you. Retention rate. So what do I mean by that? That's the number of people that from the peak, so a few minutes in, to the point where you're about to start your pitch. So what is that percentage? So if you've got 100 people at peak, then you want at least 80 when it comes to the pitch. And then booking rate, so of those 80 people, you want 30 people to actually book those calls. A show-up rate is going to be higher. They've just spent 2 hours on a webinar with you. So naturally, these people are going to be showing up at a higher rate. They're going to be warmer leads. They're going to be better leads, and they're going to close at a higher rate of 35% versus 20% here. So then looking at that, we've got 200,000 impressions, 4,000 clicks, 800 registrations, 200 attendees, 160 to stay for the pitch, 48 calls booked, 36 calls showed, and then 13 closed. So you can see here that we do have a difference of 1 close. So it's not super clear from a metric standpoint. Okay, like which one do we actually go for? It could just be one close here or there, and there are going to be so many other factors that are actually going to influence which one is going to be right for you. But kind of, I want to just take like base level, probably just slightly conservative metrics that we see with our clients across VSL funnel and webinar funnel. That's what we're seeing, and that's kind of like a conservative estimate. Now, a lot of these things are going to be based on your skill as well, and also the skill of the team members and the type of your ads that you're running and how good your ads are. And you can see that these things could really, like with small changes, can actually make a massive difference. So, for example, if your call booking rate is just not good, and it's not at 3%, it could be at 1.5%, all of a sudden that just halves everything else that comes after it. So you end up with a 2.1 ROAS. That's not really something you want to scale with, right? So that is something that could just absolutely cook your whole metrics for a VSL funnel. So you really want to make sure that call booking rate is good, because it's just fine margins, right? It's 3% to 1% to 2% to 4%. Like these are going to make significant differences in what actually comes out of the other end. click-through rate, again, if that goes down or if that goes up to 3% for some of the ads that you're running, and then suddenly you're at 6.6 ROAS. So you can see these small changes at the top can actually have a really significant difference. Again, if your registration rate, your landing page isn't so optimized, maybe you could be, if you're running a slower landing page, 15% there, then it could be dropping. But then what if you're a really good presenter and you're able to retain people at 85% and you keep that registration rate at 20%, then you are still closing just 13, but then you could improve the actual booking rate because you are a good presenter. So then it's going to be like, okay, 35% instead of 30% are actually booking in because you've increased the number of people that stay to the pitch and also increase the number of people that convert to call based on the pitch. So therefore you've closed 16 people instead of 13, and then suddenly you're at 4.8x ROAS. So it is dependent on so many different things. There is more complexity here, but it does also have, like, when you see, okay, like we've got all these metrics to look at, and then one of them is clearly just a massive problem, then you're like, okay, we can actually fix that now. So there's trade-offs to them both. So now let's look at the qualitative head-to-head, because as we can see, it doesn't just come down to the actual numbers of what you're running. So what have we got here? Feedback loop. So what I mean by this is the rate at which you can actually make changes based on the outcome. And that's naturally going to be in VSL's favor. Whether you're going to be running it once every week, if you're running it to cold audiences, or if you're running it to a warm audience, you're going to be running it once every month or two. So you're not going to have a fast feedback loop on the changes that you make. Geographic flexibility, again, the VSL is going to be better. Like you're just going to be able to, like if you're in the US, for example, but you've also got people that could be working with you across the world, and then you're like, okay, we're going to run at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Your European audience is just not going to show up. So VSL is going to be working like all day, every day. Simplicity of build also goes over here. We've got better simplicity of build. It's easier to get it going. But a launch suitability, for example, that's going to be in a webinar's favor. You can build up a lot of hype around this event and the fact that you're about to launch something new. Maybe you've not sold something high ticket before, or maybe you haven't sold something that's ever, then a webinar is going to be suitable. Or maybe if you're releasing a new part of your program or a new type of program, webinars are great funnels to run for a launch. So if you're running a launch, if you're thinking about launching something, or maybe making a change to what you're actually offering, webinars are great for that. Sales team morale. I would say webinars are better in terms of the fact they're going to be getting better leads and better conversion rates. However, I think we do have something here called consistency. With the VSL, you're naturally going to have more calls coming in. So you're going to have them coming in on a regular basis, and then sales team morale, sales call volume is going to look like this. So volume is here, and then the time is here. So for a webinar, and I'll just draw that in red, it's going to look like this. Poof, 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 every time you run a webinar. So that's going to be good. It's going to give you the opportunity to actually get your sales team kind of in flow, and they're going to have a high volume of leads, and they're going to be able to speak with them. They're not going to have this kind of sense of dread if one kind of slips through the cracks, because they're like, okay, I've got so many more leads. Like they've got this abundance mindset. A VSL, however, that could just be consistently running about this, and maybe there or there or there or there, and it's going to be kind of just like that. So in terms of morale, I'd say webinar is better if you're dictating morale off like close rate and confidence in their ability. But then sometimes there will be like periods of drought where those sales team members, especially if webinar is your only funnel that you're running, they're not going to be able to speak with people too much, maybe like towards the end of the week if you're running Sunday webinars, for example. Re-engagement potential. Webinar is going to win on that. And what I mean by that is essentially leads in your pipeline that you can keep fresh and you can keep remarketing to and actually having a chance of closing again. We will see that some people will actually show up to like 3-4 webinars before they even book a call and actually close. So the fact that you've got that keep continuing to go means that you can actually keep working with the leads that you do have in your pipeline and then still getting conversions with them. However, a video sales letter, someone will just essentially see that And then they'll be like, okay, is this for me? Is this not for me? Okay, I'm not interested. They might stay in the pipeline and they're not really going to click back on that video sales letter again because it doesn't feel like an occasion, doesn't feel like something exciting. It doesn't feel like they're something going to learn more about because they've already watched it. But then if you keep positioning the webinar as something slightly different, particularly if you go into an organic audience, maybe once a month, then there's going to be that potential of people actually re-attending different webinars and then converting on the third, fourth time that they actually go to one. Scalability. I would say video sales letter does win this because they've got the faster feedback loop, the simplicity of build is faster, so you can just increase the spend and then make changes to the bottlenecks as you go. Webinar is good because it gives you enough time to kind of like, okay, let's gather ourselves, and now we're about to whack up spend for this next webinar that we're about to run, and then we can like calm down a bit and then recoup and then work out, okay, like what do we need to do next time. So there's a bit of both. I would say it does lean more towards VSL because of its flexibility, but webinar, you do get the option of just like increasing spend on one webinar, and then you've got the time to actually kind of recoup, regather if that's something that you actually need. Organic only suitability, I would say VSL wins this for a webinar. If you're literally strictly going organic, then a webinar would be suited to you if you've got a very large audience that you can kind of keep marketing to and you're not going to absolutely cook your audience. But if you've got a small audience, then yeah, the numbers, we're working with like decent sized numbers of registrations here. Like we're looking at 800 registrations for a £39,000 webinar. So we're looking at large, fairly large, I guess, numbers of people that are actually showing up to these things. Closer skill. This leans more towards, way more towards webinar. They've already been pitched, basically. They're already familiar with what the offer looks like. They probably just need to know the price, and it's going to just be more of a formality when it comes to that call. So you can see close rates of like 50 or 60% on webinar leads, and you don't really need very skilled closers. So if that's an issue for you, if you've got newer closers or closers that are less familiar with working with people in your industry, for example, then webinars could be really, really good for them to build up their confidence, to understand the market more, to be able to get more used to the kinds of people that you would be essentially feeding them in the way of leads, and then maybe look for a more of a challenging funnel after that for them. That's something to bear in mind. Add creative longevity. Webinars definitely win because it's going to be a short promotion cycle, and then you've actually got the time then to create new ads if you need to create new ads. Whereas with a video sales letter, it's like always on. You always need to be aware of, okay, this one's fatiguing, this one's not performing well, this one's not booking calls at the rate I needed to book calls at. And then you're like, okay, like every single day, you've got to be aware of this. You need to have like constant new ads going out week after week after week, especially with updates that have happened across the Meta platform in recent months. So add creative longevity, that's always going to be way more simple for a webinar. So what you see in terms of complexity from the actual build, the operations, you actually get a benefit from on reducing your complexity when it comes to actually pumping out the ads. Call quality always going to be higher with a webinar. Market saturation is always going to favor the webinar because the difficulty of build is larger. So that's where we actually get the simplicity of build being a benefit to the webinar, because it's more difficult to build. Therefore, it's going to be more difficult for other people to actually do. Therefore, the market saturation is going to be lower for webinars, and also you've got a bit of a moat around you. If you're running a good webinar, you're going to be competing with maybe 3 people in your industry creating webinar funnels versus 30 people creating video sales letter funnels. So your prospects are going to be less burnt, essentially, or exhausted by that kind of funnel. And then sales cycle length, that's actually going to get won by webinar, because you could be promoting on a Thursday and then closing that client on a Sunday, like straight after the webinar. If you could be promoting, they've never seen you before, on the Saturday, going to the webinar on Sunday, then closing straight after the webinar on the Sunday as well. So that's what you can see from a qualitative and also a quantitative standpoint. So you will see here like a video sales letter funnel, you could see that's going to win, but then also it's going to depend on your business model. It depends on what you're selling, and it's also going to depend on your personality and what you actually like. So if you're someone who's going to present really well, and you just know that you're someone who's got this gift for presentation, or it's a skill that you've worked on for a long time, then yeah, a webinar is going to be something that you're really going to benefit from. So I hope you've got some value out of this video, and I hope that it's helped you decide which one to run for you based on the financial modeling and also the kind of qualitative head-to-head framework. If you do want someone to partner with you on your coaching business, then you can get in touch with me. You can scroll down, you can click on the link below, and you'll go to the Funnel House website and you can book a call with me. And I would look forward to being able to work with you and partner with you on building your coaching business to 6 figures and beyond each and every month. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll be in touch with another video, I'm sure, very soon. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.